the rep will be in district, meeting with our teachers, helping them to understand the growth that their students have had from the first to the second diagnostic, and what type of instructional practices and tools to put in place in some of the small group settings, some of the differentiation that can happen in there. So they will be working one-on-one with the teacher-specific data with the teachers on Thursday and Friday. We are currently also working on our data presentation for the board, or the CCMP committee, which will be January 28th. So we will have all of that ready for you to go. K-3 will work on their letters training on Friday. I think they are now a little bit more than halfway through letters training.
Next to last, Unit 7.
Unit 7. So we have this one and then March, yes. And then they will be finished with their letters training. And then we will start working on our next group of teachers who also have to have structured literacy. Also with teachers in K-8 this Friday and next Tuesday, I think I talked about this a little bit in CCMP. I have the gentleman coming in from PDE who's the math curriculum lead. He's going to be working with our teachers on really getting into SAS, which is the Standards Aligned System for the state, making sure our proficiency scales are all aligned, our assessments are aligned, that we are creating assessments that are at the right rigor level, and using some of the released items that they provide to us. I know sometimes this is scary for people, but they actually have a feature in there where it's kind of like your chat box or your AI, where you can go in and develop test questions, and it will be aligned to the standard and the content that you're teaching, the eligible assessment concepts. So really getting our teachers in and working with that so that they can start seeing how all of these pieces really work together to help support student growth. So a couple of professional developments coming up. Really Thursday, Friday, Tuesday next week are pretty heavy in that, and then some follow-up. And then Monday I plan on being up at the high school to support Dr. Becker and his team in any way I can help them. So that ends my report.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Dr.
Berryman? You know what was coming? PSSA scores.
Will be in the data report on the 28th.
On the 28th. Is that when we're going to discuss it?
Yep, we're going to do PSSAs, Future Ready Index, and iReady data all on the 28th.
On the 28th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? Hearing none. Ms. Young.
Okay. As we progress through the winter season, I have some key updates and highlights. First, highlights. Our wrestling team continues to excel. I'm not sure if you guys know, the YAI had their inaugural wrestling championship. Since all other sports have championships, wrestling really doesn't. They never get a chance to wrestle. We're Division III, so we never get to go against, Dallastown Division I or Division II. So they had this big tournament out in Central York. And I went out there Friday, spent 5 hours. I've gotten the bug of wrestling. But our very own Tanner Rock won the 189, which was great to see. So he won division, I think he won against Dallastown to win the championship. So that was great to see, and I think they're going to continue that because it was such a success this year. The junior high wrestling team, they brought home a championship at the Northern Lebanon tournament, which is great. And Tanner Rock is at 91 pins, not wins. He got already 100 wins last year, and he's at 91 pins right now. So we're hoping by the end of this year we can make sure he's got to do it, but get 100 pins this year. Competitive cheer, I wanted to update you and highlight them. They participated in their first one January 5th. They got 3rd overall, which is pretty strong. And yesterday they competed. They were out at Cedar Cliff, and they won 1st place in the small varsity game day non-tumbling category. So it's been great to see how successful they've been starting up again this year, the competitive cheer. They were also asked to perform at halftime at the Mount St. Mary's basketball game. So, which is kind of
Do we have a date for that?
That is Thursday.
Thursday, thank you.
This Thursday, yes. And so I was excited for them about that. Across the board, teams are working hard, showing great commitment to their program. I also want to talk about alumni engagement, which I've seen a lot. I get very excited to see alumni come back, not only as volunteer coaches, but as paid coaches, coming back to give back, which is a testament to our coaches and the atmosphere they provide, and the alumni want to come back to foster that same atmosphere and commitment to the kids. But it was great to see Cam Minji last Thursday officiating the wrestling youth match we had right before our junior high. It was just the cutest thing to see him in there and just so into it. And not only our volunteers, but also our own coaches and players are coming back to support the youth. So Coach Polishuk did his little stint this past Saturday at the youth wrestling tournament officiating. And then you'll see boys basketball players keeping the clock at the youth games, and you'll see both our varsity coaches at the youth games cheering the kids on. So that's great. I'm not sure if everyone knew how dedicated some of these coaches are to building their program. Upcoming events. This week we have our first senior night, which is Thursday for wrestling. We also have our first teacher appreciation night, which is Wednesday for boys basketball. And this is our second youth night. We had girls youth night last Friday. We have boys this Friday. So it's a chance for them to celebrate our athletes. And they get part of the tunnel for the youth basketball games, and they play a game at halftime, which is very cute. Okay, and we're also gearing up for our 3rd annual National Girls and Women in Sports Day. That'll take place on February 5th. So this has been a great event, and we've had it publicized in the paper as well, but this is our 3rd year and it's running strong. We have 2 sponsors that generously covered the cost of the t-shirts. They will be distributed to the first 50 registrants, and this is just helping us highlight and support female athletes, which is a great cause. And last but not least, at the next board meeting, I will provide a plan and recommendations and update on Girls Across. A student survey was conducted and results were reviewed, and I'll have that information for you at the next board meeting.
Shelley,
Yes.
you need to learn to selfishly talk about your sponsors. So who are your sponsors? Who are your
Sponsors are United Fitness and Bronco Billy's Beef Jerky.
Who is again? I must have missed them. I apologize.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, what?
What were they again? I must have missed them.
Bronco Billy's and United Fitness.
Bronco Billy. Okay. So we want to thank Bronco Billy's and United Fitness for the t-shirts for the women in sports.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Man, they're
And
gonna pay
I must-
for them. Give them some advertising here. Come on now.
I must leave you. I have a basketball game
Okay,
going on
thank you.
right now. Any questions?
Yeah, does everybody, okay. Thank you, Ms. Young, Dr. Raymond, Dr. Naylor, Dr. Piowski, thank you for your reports. Okay,
I don't have any questions, but can I just piggyback on her? So we were at the youth wrestling tournament this weekend, and how Cam Minky prepped the youth match last Thursday. There was a ref that actually got sick at the tournament this Saturday, and Cam was there with the varsity wrestling team, and he had to go out and take over a little bit for this ref to start feeling better. So that was kind of cool to see him kind of kick in and help out, as well as the whole wrestling, the majority of the varsity wrestling team was there helping out. It was great. Their tournament, I guess, in Maryland got canceled because of the weather. So they were able to come in and help. And it was my first wrestling tournament ever with youth, and it was pretty neat to see many hands make light work. So, yeah.
anybody else have any comments? Carrie, you were there, weren't you?
Not at the youth, but at the junior high championship that they won, yes. Great.
Okay. Let's talk about January 20th. Well, we're going to talk about January 20th, but before we start about January 20th meeting, we're going to talk about color for January 20th meeting, which you are going to do as president, and why. And get full support from 1, 2, and 3 in the front row.
That's right.
So January 20th, I asked all the board members and some of our others that sit with us to wear orange. I designed shirts. We do have a little Volt in our district that has cancer. He was diagnosed the week of Christmas with acute B-cell lymphoblastic leukemia. So he spent his Christmas at Hershey. His sister's a 5th grader here, who you will probably see walking around with a shirt on too. So anyone that wants to join, please wear orange to show Emmett that we are supporting him.
So I'd kind of like to see if we can't get everybody and try to even get some of the whole schools to try to get orange day. And that would be a nice thing to see if we can, you know, for the orange, get everybody nice and orange for one day, and if we can get some pictures, maybe get something in the paper, because I think it's to show this, that we are supportive of these things.
Is that the executive order next Tuesday?
No, that's
Wednesday?
I don't have executive
Make-
orders.
just make it Wednesday.
Orange, you know, we need to support. We've had a few students in this school that have had childhood cancer. You know, I know of one personally near and dear to my heart. I think we have another one that I know of that was died. I think we've lost 2 to cancer of students in this district, so I like to support that all the time, so. Okay, on the lighter note, does anybody have a problem with the Pledge of Allegiance? I mean, Ryan, on the 20th meeting. That was a joke. All right, anybody have any comments with the first part of the board minutes or anything like that we need to correct now?
Yeah, I have a question, Carl.
Sure.
You can answer this, you've been on the board the longest here. Why do we hide the minutes from the public?
I don't think we hide them.
They're not approved yet.
Yeah,
But do you really have to approve them to?
Yeah.
for the-
Yeah.
I mean,
Legal document.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because if they're not right, we can't publish something. Somebody might take the information on it and use
so
it.
I'm just asking,
It's not right.
I'm just asking.
They just have to be approved.
Just these until, until it's
Yeah, as soon as they're approved, I upload them to the document center on the website, and I'll add that to the instructions of the other part.
Okay, because I had people ask me,
They're all
actually
on.
called me and said, why can't we click on the red thing, on the minutes? And I'm like, I'm gonna ask.
But yeah, they're absolutely right, because they're not board approved yet, but as soon as they are.
Is that a
that's
law?
Part of my Tuesday.
In Pennsylvania or something, or?
Part of the code.
A
Well,
code?
I don't want any minutes that anybody can read if it's not correct yet. So we have to approve it and say, yes, if it's correct. Now the
Oh,
public
okay.
can use that
That's-
information if they want.
No, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just asking.
Hence, the part up in the front, anything in red is members only,
Yeah, correct.
so.
Well, I was asked and I figured I was.
Like, because we've had changes where we say we want this because it's not right, but so
Correct.
we don't want anybody to think that we want thing, because they'll never go back and look at it after it's approved to see that it was not right.
Now, when I
It
back
has
up,
changed.
Carrie, on some of your documents, you wanna go back a few years, they're still red.
If it's in the work session,
Yeah,
it'll still be read.
session's red. And then.
So you keep it that way
revalidate.
regardless, okay?
Yeah, you have access to all of it.
Oh, yeah, but if I'm not on my district laptop, let's say I'm on a regular laptop.
Because we want it to be exactly the way it was at
Okay,
the work session.
that's cool. I was just curious because,
And then the minutes are placed in the document center on the website for anyone to view.
so after they're approved,
Yep,
Yep.
and they'll see, like, they'll have Bev's signature, if it's from her time, or my signature.
now, when I look it up, until that time they're approved, it's red, so you change it on the regular agenda sheet to make it accessible.
No, they have to go to the website.
They go to the website.
Yeah.
The website, okay, the website documents, okay.
Yeah,
But
we
but on
only
the regular
make
session,
changes.
on the website documents, they're changed. It's blue, so they
No,
click on
because
once
we
they're
haven't
approved.
approved them yet. We approved.
No, I'm saying
that.
once they're approved, then they go on the regular sheet, the regular agenda sheet, after we approve it and leave here at the regular meeting, they get changed to blue?
No, so they're housed in a completely different spot.
Oh,
So there's
okay,
a section
okay.
on the website called documents, and then you go under
Oh.
board, year, and so on and so forth until, but I'll write those down so you can, just like.
Well, I've been asked. I mean, people would ask me, say, why are we hiding the minutes? And I'm not saying we're hiding them. I was just curious why we do that, that's all.
Because we
Yeah.
can't change the agenda. It has to be exactly the way it was.
Agreed.
at the
I agree
time.
with you. I was just asking for an explanation since you have all been on the board longer than I have. I
That's
figured
all. It
you
just
would,
has to be approved.
you would
No
know.
problem. Terry doesn't even sit on the
No, but she sits at the table, so she knows what's going on.
board. No. Okay, Steve, your section.
Okay, so, we're gonna be talking about, the athletic design, tax collector compensation resolution, Ardor renewal, student activity banking, transportation options, and food service. And, just wanna there's some other things that are listed on here that Tom didn't get a chance to get it on after the committee meeting. And so some of the things that we discussed are on here, and we can talk about those too. So, anybody have
your section.
Section 2.
Section 2.
Do we have any discussion on that? Anything in there?
Right, but he said athletic design.
It was a short way of just saying what the topic was. Volleyball kids.
Are we getting down into general fund yet? On your section? Because we are.
Nobody's got any problem with ABC? No? So let's go to page 2. If we have any problems, do we need to talk about the technology consultant service, or are we already done? Did we already touch on that?
Yeah.
I just think, there should be, more than one person that, once Quinn has, consulted, if we approve it, there should be more than one person that understands the job and what needs to be done, so that if that person leaves, we're not in the same spot all over again. We have like standard operating procedures for things.
Succession. No single point failures.
Because,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we're relying on Quinn when he's already left, so.
Correct.
I have a question on D. Maybe Tom can answer this. This RFP, why is it only 1 year versus 3 years?
So this, for the state, they're only allowed to approve 1 year at a time, and there's up to 4 optional renewals beyond that. So every year, you'll approve a cafeteria budget, it's normally like May, but that's only 1 year's worth at a time. So next year, if we still approve this company this May, if you like the company again next May, we'll approve them again up to 5 total years, including this initial year. And then after that, we have to do an official RFP to reset like we are this year.
Okay, so this is a 5-year grace period.
Yes,
Pretty much.
Yeah, so it's 1 year and then optional 4 renewals per year.
It is 1 year.
Is the contract for Quinn, is that like negotiable? I mean, is that set in stone? Is that something we can discuss and talk about?
That's what you brought up. I will tell you that it's about $15 more per hour for the nearest and closest competitor that I
Okay.
provided for. And that would be somebody who doesn't know the scripts, the systems, or the things that we put in place. You're hiring So someone. combined with what we have there with Quinn, I think we get a really great value from him.
Are we gonna really need him that many months?
It's up to that amount of time and up to that amount of, that dollar amount. If he is able to transition our new person in quickly and he learns quickly enough, we may not need all of those hours or all of that time. But Quinn wanted to make sure that we have things for student scheduling, things for student engagement, processes down for students and teachers to be able to make sure that the management of grades and grading goes well in his absence. He's the expert in that area. Corey Zortman does a terrific job. He can do all the things that Quinn does, but he doesn't specialize in that during the time and doesn't know those scripts. So it takes him a little bit longer to do those things that Quinn has perfected. So, yeah.
It's just a safety
we might-
net.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Safety net and insurance.
Are we on the general fund yet?
We're at you right now. We're heading down.
Okay.
We're heading there. Anybody have any questions with H, I, J? Okay.
Oh, I have a question with I, Tom. I was asked this too. The PSD LAF, is that a state bank?
Yes, they funnel through PNC. They specialize in school districts.
Okay.
Pennsylvania School District Liquid Asset Funds, so they almost exclusively work with school district municipalities because of our nuance and regulations we have.
And so they don't charge you the $50 vendor for the ACH, the $50, and they don't charge you the $275 per transaction?
Correct. Since we're an existing customer, this will be a sub-account on already our accounts.
Yeah, I read that where most of the accounts are already there.
Yes, so this, student activities, and one of the construction funds due to the escrow account I talked earlier are in 2 different funds. So this would be the just the construction fund. Once that's closed, we'll be solely with PSDA with all of our banking.
Okay, and that is through PNC.
Yeah, they use PNC as their like holding company for all transactions.
We're moving down. Thank you, Tom.
Any other questions?
Are we moving down the general fund yet?
Well, Victor's not here to answer my K, but there's a,
Is it-
signing a document a little bit late again?
Oh, I can't speak to that. That's, yeah, that would be a Victor question.
Yep.
But the term, you know, yeah, January 1st.
And
I think
they signed theirs the 9th.
All right, it was February.
Knowing Victor, we've not had any work done or anything
Yeah.
until the board has approved it.
Correct, yes, I will,
That
I
Victor
will
does that.
make that apparently clear. He does not authorize this, even though they
Right.
say that, no work is to be concluded until these are 100% guaranteed.
All right, but then riddle me this. If we're not signing off on it until the 20th, and it's only for 1 year, so do we automatically lose 20 days, or are they gonna honor the day we sign it here?
They would be reflective of, they would lose basically 20 days if they honor that. A lot of times these are just the auto agreements, so we approved it sometime last year around January 1st. So there's kind of, since their renewal is very much just on our.
I will take it as a personal favor if we can refrain from these.
I'll make note of that so that.
And I know Victor knows how I am, so, you know, it's just my personal pleasure. I appreciate it, thank you.
That for.
Drum roll, please, general fund check. Dwayne, you're up.
I had some complaints about the fact that people couldn't get into IXL. Are we no longer paying for that?
Nope. We have IXL, that was a clerical error, and that's been adjusted. I think it was a matter of a couple of hours that our students were not in IXL, and they're back on.
Okay, it's back on.
Yeah, it was within the same day, it was just a few hours.
It's funny how fast people start complaining it's when they can't get online or something. Also, I want to talk to you, Tom, about the G-Force checks. Now, I know September 17th, we took John Lorenz on as a employee of the district. Now, where is this other individual that we're paying for working for G-Force?
I'll actually have a copy of it. I'm speaking to that. He's in charge of security.
G4 security officer is in the district on a daily basis. And
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? We missed it.
We missed it.
Yeah, no.
I tried to hold it in.
Do not hold them in, you'll blow in your drum.
yeah, the G-Force safety officers here are in the district on a daily basis. What other questions related to that I can help you?
Well, I was just curious because I thought we were, and I know we had a contract year left, or almost a year. I think it was only 19 days when we transferred him over. We still, out of 183, I believe. So you're talking, what, $60,000 we're paying out to have a second SSO by moving John to being an employee of the district. I mean, I'm just wondering why we went that route. I understand we did, but I'm wondering why we went that route, because 19 days in, we were only 19 days in when we made him an employee of the district. So that's like 67,000 something. If you divide it up and come back up about a little over 60 grand we're paying for an extra one. And I was just curious why.
We approved 2 safety officers as a school board.
I thought we approved the new company to watch the construction.
We approved another company for substitute safety services.
Okay, it's a substitute.
That I think we've used 2 times.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I thought we hired that company to specifically watch the high school.
No, that was just like a teacher or substitute teacher services would serve as a substitute safety officer service. In the event that we wouldn't have a safety officer available, we can utilize those services.
Well, I had no problem with G-Force. I was just curious because when I sat and read that, I was thinking, why are we still paying G-Force? Then I thought, well, we have a contract, but who do we have? You know, who do we have, and what are they doing? Can you
His name is Corey Flinchball.
His name is Corey Flinchball? Okay, because maybe I've never met him. I don't know if I did when John went on. So Corey's working in the district. Is he, or maybe John, or whatever, is he the one watching the high school?
These guys, Corey starts mainly down here at Alloway Creek. John, obviously, I mentioned working with Alloway Creek as well, so you know, that's something we coordinate, on a daily and weekly basis.
I was just curious because I saw 3 different contracts. I didn't realize that was a substitute. I apologize. I thought that was permanent. They were gonna be there, but I didn't understand it was a substitute. So thank you for explaining that. I appreciate that. Not a biggie, just really wanted to know. I saw that in there. Thanks, Tom and Eric, for explaining that.
Okay. Done? Are we done? Does anybody have any other questions?
Under,
Thank you.
under personnel, we have several general items here. Just a couple notes. Item B, the 6th grade extra math, we are aware that that program is slated to start tomorrow. And however, the approval of these supplemental folks, 2 of the 3 participated in this capacity last year. The other one's our new math teacher. He's going to be coming on board with that as well. If any board member has an issue with extra math taking place prior to the
Nick,
approval.
to be clear, it's actually not going to start until following the voting meeting, because with the FID and the snow days, we just got behind in getting our kids invited.
So we'll start
So it
next
will
week.
technically start after.
So that note is withdrawn.
Sure.
We also have an overnight out-of-state trip for our nurses. That can be, any questions can be directed to Dr. Fiaski, I imagine, or Dr. Merriman. We'll also have the Elevate Mind and other, we'll have other ones on this report.
And I appreciate the fact that you've already talked that, and again, reduce some, if it doesn't, if we don't find anything else, so I want to appreciate that fact.
Hey, Nick, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
On the 6th grade extra math. Am I to understand that this is $31.50 a day, $900 total for the whole term?
That would be
It's in this-
$150 an hour.
An hour, that's what I meant, an hour.
Sorry. That's correct. And then
For that whole term, they're only gonna max out at $900 each? Or is that 900?
Mr. Sullivan, so they can only be paid after their contracted day. So a teacher's contracted day ends at 2:45.
Oh, I see, it's additional.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So they
Now I understand.
stay after school a half hour.
Got it.
So they're only making half of 31.50 on Tuesday and half of 31.50 on Thursday. So
I thought we were bringing them in for the whole day. I apologize. I misunderstood it and I read it.
It really does- it adds
I'm
up
like,
very
no, I'm
slowly.
thinking it's too cheap. I'm like,
It adds up
there's
very
no
slowly.
way.
Yeah, it adds up very slowly. And some of that time too is, and I'm gonna talk about this in my presentation next week, but some of that time is too spent with communication with families and their planning and prep, and then that extra half hour each day.
Well, I love to see help with math.
Yeah.
I love to see it. So that's good.
Are there any other questions on the personnel section?
Nope, I just comment, I'm just happy to see that we have some well, they used to be students, or they were athletes here in the district, Brady McClintock and Jacob Healy, coming back
Yep.
and working,
Yep.
so that's pretty cool.
If there's no other questions there, we'll move on to curriculum policy. Just 3 items there. We have our first reading of those listed policies that we covered this past week at the CCMP meeting. We will approve the final approval of those 4 code policies that we had our first reading last month.